Hello, I'm Richard Leider. I'm the author of a new book that's just come out called Who Do You Want to Be When You Grow Old? The Path of Purposeful Aging. I've been on the path of purpose for over 4 decades, studying it, writing about it, and growing with it. Now, we're all getting older, but are we growing older is the question. The book kind of riffs on the old axiom or the old question that you were probably asked, and that is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, this book is, who do you want to be when you grow old? So life either happens by default or design, choice. Many of us kind of live a default life. One of the chapters in this book is, how do I stop living a default life? The life that was kind of dished up to you by your culture, your family, your education, et cetera. And at certain points in our life, we choose to make a difference. We choose to change. And so there are two big choice points or two big inflection points in life. The first one is when we move from adolescence to adulthood and we start to take over our lives. The next one, though, that we're writing about, and I want to talk a little bit more about here, is that next shift from adulthood to elderhood. In 1900, the average life expectancy in this country was age 47. Now it's in the 80s, and the fastest growing cohort is 85 and over, and there's 75 million people in the US who are 60 and over and growing all the time. And we need a new narrative. We need to move from a default life to a new narrative about what is positive, purposeful aging and what are the possibilities there that in this new narrative. You may recall that there's a book that came out 47 years ago called Passages, talking about midlife. And now we're talking, this book is about the new elderhood. So what's needed is a new conversation. It's been 40 some years since Passages. And so the question is, where do you get an advanced degree in maturity? Where do you learn how to age purposefully? Well, the one thing I want to say from the get-go is about this purpose thing. Purpose is the answer to the question, why? Why do I get up in the morning? Why do I do what I do? And what I found in 4+ decades is that purpose is not a luxury. It's not a luxury for the well-educated or the affluent or even a purpose, an age. In fact, purpose is age agnostic. Young people, midlife people, older people, all from cradle to grave need an answer to the why question and are asking that these days. So purpose is fundamental to health, to healing, to happiness, and ultimately even to longevity. People who have a reason to get up in the morning tend to live 7 to 10 years longer and more with a more fulfilling, happier life in the later years. I did a PBS special and I went out and visited neuroscience labs to see that the question always was, can science explain purpose, or is this just about philosophy and religion and psychology? And the answer is unequivocally now that science can explain purpose. And one of the neuroscientists held up a pill and he said, Richard, just imagine I have a pill here. He said, Richard, you see this pill? Would you buy it? And I said, well, what does it do? His name is Dr. Majid Fatui at Johns Hopkins. And he said, this pill will help reduce the effects of Alzheimer's and dementia to give you a better quality of life. Will help reduce sleep apnea and other sleep disorders, will reduce the effects of macroscopic stroke by 41% and add years to your life. And I said, well, I mean, really, is there a pill like that? And he said, yes. And he said, you've been studying it for all these years. It's called purpose. We now can measure purpose in the brain, purpose in neuroplasticity. So the point I want to make here is that purpose is three things. It's a mindset. It's actually a reset, not just a mindset. It's a mind reset about what is it that purposeful and positive aging can be all about. Secondly, it's a path. It's a choice to live a certain way in a certain direction with a certain aim. And third, it's a practice. Purpose is a verb. It's something we do, not just something that we think about or that we have or that we name in certain ways. So my purpose with a big P, there's purpose with a big P and purpose with a small p. Purpose with a big P is kind of like a cause, like I have to save the world or have to have something too big. And so many people say, oh, I don't have a cause. I don't have purpose. My purpose with a big P is to help others unlock the power of purpose. Small p, though, is the difference you make in everyone's life or anyone's life on a day-to-day basis. Purpose with a small p is getting up in the morning to make a difference in one other person's life, to make it easier for somebody else in some ways. And most people are relieved when I mention that. There's a sigh of relief that, oh, purpose with a small p, I have that. I just didn't have purpose with the big P. My purpose with a small p is to make purpose practical. And here's one practice that I'd like to share with you about what I mean by that. And if you think, well, still purpose is kind of, I don't quite get it yet. Well, let me just give you purpose in 2 words: grow and give. The universal purpose in life, after all these years of study and in this book about aging, The Path of Purposeful Aging, is to grow and to give. If you can get up in the morning and ask yourself, how am I going to grow and give today? You're living purposefully. You're on the purpose path in certain ways. And so what I would request or challenge you to do is this: take out a little Post-it and write down the words grow and give on that Post-it and put it on your mirror. And tomorrow morning, when you get up, ask yourself, how am I going to grow and give today? And at the end of the day, before you go to bed at night, look at the mirror where you've got your Post-it and say, how did I grow and give today? And it might not be the first day, maybe not even the second day, but after 3, 4, 5 days, you'll actually have a felt sense. You'll look forward to growing and giving. And growing and giving is the universal fundamental purpose that is what we're all here to do in my humble estimation. So I mentioned that purpose is age agnostic, but there's a formula for it regardless of age. So let me sort of pull it all together with this formula. The formula is G plus P plus V equals C. G is gifts, P is passions, V is values, and C is calling. So when you really dig deeply into purpose, are you using your most loved, most enjoyed gifts, the things you love to do, on things that you care about, that you feel purposeful or passionate about, in environments, in situations where you feel like you have a voice, your values are respected and dignified, etc. If you get up in the morning and you're using your gifts on things you feel passionate about in purposeful ways, you have a calling. And calling is another word for purpose. It's the vocational word for purpose in certain ways. So what we try to do in this book is to help people to really, through narrative, through story, and through a conversational approach, to help people to choose to live a more purposeful life. And that purposeful life, as I mentioned, is a more fulfilling life. A default life, oftentimes we kind of grow up and decline, and we see the second half of life as a decline. A purposeful life actually is the life that we grow up and then we continue to grow. We have our dips along the way. They call it the U curve of happiness, where we have dips at certain times, of course, but then we have a path to get out of that. And what we now know is that the second half of life often, and in our 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s, can be the happiest times of our life, not that decline. So are you using your gifts on things you feel passionate about, in environments that fit who you are. If you are, you're on the path of purposeful aging. And so that's my message in certain ways. As I said, purpose is a verb. It's something we do. You have the choice. There are 1,440 purpose moments in every day. Now, if you take sleep out of it, it's less obviously, but 1,440 minutes or moments in a day. Purpose moments are those times you can stop and give somebody else a kind word, a hug, listen. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just that connection that we have that make our lives fulfilling and give us a sense of that we have meaning. We need three things in our life: medicine, money, and meaning. The three M's, I call them. Medicine means health. Certainly we want to live a healthy life. Money is enough, or how much is enough is, of course, a question for all of us. And then meaning, because we all know people who have enough health and enough money, but are dying psychologically. I call it inner kill, the art of dying without showing it. It's kind of dying with, they've lost that sense, that edge, that reason to get up in the morning, that why in certain ways. And so my favorite quote to end things here is this. It comes from the American essayist, E.B. White. He says this, and I just love this. He said, "I arise in the morning, torn between a desire to save the world and a desire to savor the world. This makes it hard to plan the day." Well, in all due respect to E.B. White, I think it makes it easier to plan the day. Of course, we want to savor life, but saving doesn't mean we have to save the world. It just means we have to make our dent, our impact, and live a purposeful life. That's what we're here to do. And I've been interviewing people over the age of 65 for almost 40 years now, and asking them if they could live their life over again, what would they do differently? And they've all said this. They said, "I wish I would have been more reflective. I would have paused and looked at the big picture and seen what is really important. Secondly, I wish I would have taken more risks to live more authentically, to live my version of the good life, not the default life. And third and finally, they've said, if I could live my life over again, I wish I would have understood earlier that real fulfillment comes from the inside out, from making an impact with others, not just from making a lot of money or being successful or being famous or whatever. It's really all about relational community impact in certain ways." So I hope you've had an insight or two, but try that Post-it. Put that choice and grow and give on a Post-it. Choose to put it on your mirror and see what happens. And I think you'll find that you'll be growing older, not just getting older. So that's what we tried to do in this book, to really help people to grow whole, not old.